I've been hearing a lot about just, academic stress in relation to exams and papers and, things like that. But a lot of students are also working or doing internships and things like that on top of whatever they're doing academically or in relation to academics. And I think, it's also somewhat of developmental stage too. So college is time where students are expected to get a lot out of. So there's a lot of pressure on figuring out like what they want to do after they graduate or what they should be doing, during each stage of the academic, career. So there's a lot of pressure and stress about that and whether people are doing what they're supposed to be doing or making the most out of the college experience. So there's that piece. Stress can sort of compound on people. So, there might be like academic stress and just getting things done on time and being on top of classes, those kind of things. But if you are also living in a context where you hear about, a lot of injustice, what does that actually mean for people's lives, right? Like there are a lot of things that can worry people, especially if you are in marginalized spaces. So we need to really sort of think about stress not only at the just individual level, but also in a more sort of systemic and community-wide level as well. If it becomes this chronic kind of thing that people are constantly trying to deal with, then I think, gradually our body is going to react in relation to that. And so it can be really harmful, right? So like if you were to think about stress causing insomnia, for instance, right? Especially college students, can get away with not sleeping much for like, maybe a few days, things like that. But if you were to think about that for like 5 weeks, things like that, then it really has an impact on your both mind and body and how you're functioning. So there's a little bit of being able to make judgments about how, like, what are some things that you need to do in relation to stress in a realistic kind of way. So self-care is really critical, but people tend to think about self-care as more like kind of like pampering yourself, right? Like take a whole day off and then, go get a massage or, get, I don't know, something like that. And oftentimes that's not possible, right? Like you cannot take a whole day off if you have to do, right? And that self-care, I think it includes a lot of things that are kind of unpleasant sometimes, right? So it might be kind of saying like deciding that you need to go to sleep, right? Like going to see doctors regularly for checkups, going to dentists, like those things, I don't think people necessarily find it as like a fun kind of activity. So I think kind of redefining and becoming clearer on that would be really helpful. Clearly activities that are involving both like mind and body tend to work really well. So whether that's yoga practice or meditation, learning how to be mindful, exercise tends to be really, really helpful, right, for a whole bunch of different things, including stress relief. So I think all of those things can be really, beneficial. In terms of resources, I'm still learning about some of the BU resources. The behavioral medicine is definitely a place to start. People tend to think a lot about just like individual therapy, that kind of things, but also they provide group therapy, and then also have a lot of other resources on their website and so forth. So behavioral medicine can be really helpful. If people are wanting more like pastoral counseling type things, Danielson Institute is also at BU. There are a number of like research centers. The CARD, which does anxiety research, like those kind of places could be resources. And then I think there are a lot of like just community resources, right? Stress relief and other things too is just to know that you have a community and you have friends who are really like helpful for you, whatever that you'll find that sense of belonging. Kind of like finding those can be really helpful. There are a lot of resources in Greater Boston, ideally, right? And I think the goal should be that people should be learning for a lifetime. Even if people graduate from college, they should still be learning about something, right? Even if you're not in formal school, right? About this lifespan, like what are people learning in that? So I think there's a little bit of just giving ourselves a little break